Hi everyone and welcome to another video. This is the Fragrance Enjoyer, and in this one I'm going to be telling you all about one of my favorite fragrances from the house of Jacques. In this one we are talking about Paccino. This fragrance is very popular in the Jacques community. It is one of the, I would say, best exclusives that they actually do. But before we get into the actual fragrance itself, just a short intro so you know more about this fragrance and the house itself. This fragrance can be bought only in store and is a Paris boutique exclusive, meaning that you can only purchase it essentially when you visit Paris and the Henri Jacques boutique. Now this is something that they do globally, so depending on the location we're talking about, they will have exclusives that are only sold at that specific location. So if you go to LA, you can check out one of the best releases of the house called Cuba. If you go to Paris, you can check out Paccino, which we're talking about today, and so on and so forth, right? And so I have a couple of exclusives in my collection. Some of them are oils, and today I'm talking about the Le Brun version of Paccino. They also produce an oil version of it. It's not always the case that an exclusive can be found in both an oil concentration and the Le Brun concentration, so you will actually have to either message them to see if they're available, take a look on the website, or simply ask people that are familiar with Henri Jacques. You can of course leave a comment down below and ask me as well. So in this video I'm drinking coffee from my favorite Bavarian mug, and I'm talking about one of my favorite fragrances from the house, as I said. So in this case, let's get into the notes and let's talk about the fragrance and what you need to know about this one. As with most Henri Jacques fragrances, the quality is through the roof, and this is no exception when it comes to Paccino. Now what I have here, as you can see on the screen, is the green juice variant. Now this is important if you want to get the best version of Paccino. Now depending on the harvest, they will tell you at the store, depending on many other things, I guess. The color might be a bit different. I believe the newest ones are coming in a slightly yellowish tone, both oil and Le Brun, but in my case I have the green version, which is within the Henri Jacques community considered to be the better one. So let's cover the ingredients list. Top notes, we have pine needle, rosemary and sage. Heart notes, geranium, honey, neroli. Base notes, cedar, musk, oak moss. This is essentially a fresh green barbershop fragrance, so technically a Fougere, that has been around for a while. So this DNA is not unique in any way, but as is usually the case with Henri Jacques, the quality and execution of certain DNAs is simply unmatched. If you tell me that there's pine needle in any fragrance, I will basically need to smell that one. I think pine needle is one of my favorite notes ever. If you combine that with the kind of spicy and a little bit edgy addition of rosemary and sage, you get a beautiful green, fresh opening, right? So the first thing you get with Paccino is the green opening, the simple concept of green freshness. If you can imagine, being in, let's say, Sequoia forest as an example, surrounded by huge trees, old aged woods. This is the opening that you're getting, right? So green, fresh, crisp, a little bit spicy because of the rosemary. Simply stunning opening, right? It's basically invigorating, it is refreshing, it is a pure mood booster, right, in the opening. Now, maybe 10-15 seconds as soon as you spray this fragrance, the freshness of the green notes from the top is essentially joined by geranium, honey, and neroli. So you're getting the sweet, flowery component from the geranium, right? You're getting a beautiful, subtle touch of honey, and to my nose, the neroli is not as prevalent from the mid notes. It might be for you. For me, on my skin, what comes across is the honey. What you get with the combination of the top notes and the mid notes starting to make their way into the composition, again, a couple of seconds after you spray. Starting off very green, fresh, invigorating, happy, Fougere style, and then immediately right after, you're getting greeted by, it's like a warm hug that is combined between the honey and the geranium, right? So you're kind of getting this and just supporting function of sweetness. It doesn't overpower the opening notes at this point. It only adds complexity and depth to the actual composition, right? So you're getting still fresh and green and sparkly and a bit spicy at the opening. You're starting to get the character of the fragrance now a little bit more, and this lasts for a good hour, right? So this lasts for a good hour, a combination of sweet but also Fougere like green components. Again, you are in a thick forest, basically on a hike in the thick forest. You're walking past old trees. There's a lot of grass on the floor, there's pine trees, right? But also there are a couple of flowers. So this is kind of the scenery I'm trying to portray to you guys here. And then there's the touch of essentially just like pure old school perfumery right at the bottom of the composition in the form of the base notes that is very present in multiple Henri Jacques compositions across the board. You're getting the good old cedarwood, you're getting musks, and you're getting, to me, the star of the show, oak moss. As soon as the composition reaches the point where the base notes are starting to become more apparent, which is, I believe, after maybe 90 minutes, the oak moss reintroduces the green aspect to the fragrance. So you are basically getting a double dose of the green, if you will. At that point, the top notes would have faded. The oak moss, for me, just simply maintains the top notes that you get from the fragrance. So it still preserves the greenery. This fragrance never becomes a green, boring mess. There's always a very beautiful and elegant balance between green, sweet, and warm. If you like the opening of the fragrance after maybe 2-3 minutes, you will definitely also enjoy the dry down of this fragrance. At some point, as you can imagine, the top notes will go. At that point, exactly, the oak moss, the musks, and the cedar start to kick in. Musk is used as a fixative here. Oak moss is used to basically amplify the green notes and emphasize the masculinity of this fragrance. And then, of course, you have cedar. I don't think I need to mention anything about cedarwood. Classical, masculine, timeless ingredient that is welcome in almost every fragrance that I've tried. And so the green introduces you to the forest. You're being lured in by the sweetness of the honey and the geranium. And then once you're in the deep forest, you're getting greeted and surrounded, if you will, by oak moss and cedar. And again, musk is kind of an omnipresent, backbone of the fragrance at that point. What you end up with after a couple of hours of wearing this fragrance, at least on my skin, and again, you need to try these fragrances, experience them by yourself. But on my skin, what I end up with is a very dominant honey. So again, on my skin, the honey, comes across very early and stays there for the majority of time, and the sweetness from geranium. So what I'm getting after a couple of hours of wear, honey, geranium, and oak moss. So this is what stays on me when I wear the fragrance. Honey, geranium, and oak moss, primarily. Of course, you can also detect the musk because it is used as a fixative, as I said. Honey, geranium, and oak moss is what stays in the fragrance, and this is what the fragrance will end with as well. If you like French perfumery, if you like classical masculine fragrances, you will love this one. And I can definitely recommend you to try this one. None of the Henri Jacques fragrances are cheap. You will never find them discontinued unless you know someone that already has them, has used them already, and so on. This is just one of those things where there might be, 50 fragrances on the market that are similar to this, but this is done to my nose, this is done to perfection. And if you're after the best possible quality you can get from a fragrance, then I think this is the house you need to check out. What I will mention, if you're on a budget, meaning you don't want to spend 1,000 euros per fragrance, which I don't blame you at all, what I would recommend you to try is Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, the Eau de Toilette version. It's a very old fragrance, but essentially if you look at Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, you will find a lot of the same notes that are present as they are here, right? So you're also getting the honey, the musk, the oak moss, the geranium, the rosemary. So there's a lot of similarities to that fragrance. If you want Paccino on a budget, then you can take a look at Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, and you will thank me later. But that is essentially the direction where this fragrance is going. When it comes to the performance, it's okay. It will get you through half of the day at best. Again, usually, unless we're talking about very old school, very oak moss heavy Fougeres, this type of fragrances are not necessarily going to last all day. It's going to take you through half of the day without any issues. It's an incredible mood booster. Again, if you're freshly shaven, if you're freshly showered and you're getting to work and you apply this in the morning, this is pretty much guaranteeing at least a good start of the day. The one thing I will mention is I'm talking today only and specifically about the Le Brume version, which is the spray version. There is also, as I mentioned at the beginning, there's also an oil version that is coming in 15 or 30 ml sizes, also available in the same place in the same way as the Le Brume version, meaning only in the Paris boutique and only as a store exclusive. And if you want to know like 30-40% of where this fragrance is going, try the Paco Rabanne fragrance that I mentioned. It will give you a very good indication of what you can expect. And then if you try this fragrance at the store, you will be blown away. I'm confident. So that is it for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Let me know what kind of fragrances you would like to see. Let me know if you've heard of Henri Jacques, the house itself. I know I have a couple of subscribers that know about it and have a pretty decent collection when it comes to Henri Jacques. Let's chat about it in the comments, and I look forward to catch you the next one. Have a good one.